Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Strong. It is so exciting to be coming back to you on a Sunday evening, wherever you are in the world. Today, we traveled to London. For those of you tuning into our show for the very first time, Strong is a social platform of creating global communities all over the world. We want to be creating opportunities for the youth to feel empowered and supported by people that they see every day in their life, regular people, mums, dads, and aunts, uncles, the lady at the grocery store, the teacher in the classroom, whoever it is. We want them to start to understand that Strong is the place to go and hear real stories about real people. The mission is to empower the youth, and the aim is to create a global community. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, welcome, Elena, to our Strong show. And I just want to kind of put into context what just happened for us, because I know I'm still giggling. We had started interviewing Elena, and I realized about 10 minutes into the interview, I wasn't even recording. So I'm so excited to have you here, Elena, and I'm so happy that it started with a giggle. But let's tell everybody what you were already starting to tell us is what brought you to Strong, and what connected us to bring you as a guest on the show today.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Maria, for having me here. I was very excited about this interview because I felt like, yes, I can talk. I have a voice, and it made me feel so great and so excited. And also what I said earlier is that it's okay to feel nervous when you do something for the first time. Your heart might beat faster than usually. So just take few deep breaths and tell yourself it's okay. It's okay to be nervous. It's fine. And I found you, I think, first time on Instagram. Then I started watching your YouTube videos, and I realized I feel connected to your honesty. You're real, you're authentic, because this is what I am going through. And it started for me maybe just for the past 2 months. I felt I want to speak my truth. And that's why I'm wearing white today, because white for me means honesty and transparency.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm so happy that that's what you resonated with, because that's really what I want to be putting out there into the world, is that I want to have deep, real conversations with people. Of course, we all like to forget the realities of life every now and again, but I do want to be having deep conversations. I want to be connecting with not just my friends, but with whoever I come across in a real, honest, authentic way. So thank you so much. But tonight is all about you. So let's introduce Elena. Who is Elena?
I want to say that I was thinking, I watched all of your videos and I was thinking, okay, what I'm going to say, what I'm going to say. But then I just relaxed and I thought, I do not want to pre-plan anything. I just want to be spontaneous, because this is the real truth when you are spontaneous. And I realized that first of all, I am a woman. I am a woman. And so many times I wasn't allowed to be a woman. Such a simple, obvious word, but this is who I am, really. I am a woman. I am a fighter. I am a survivor. I am a witness, and I became an observer.
Wow.
So I am all of that in just in one. And I am a learner. Now, actually, I came to the point where I want to learn. I want to know myself more than anything else. I want to understand.
It's so beautiful. I have to say, it's the first time I come across someone who describes themselves in these action words and the I am. It sounds to me that you've really come to understand who you are on a different level than most would. So can you talk to us about how you got to this stage of knowing that not to identify yourself by the roles that you play in your life, but to identify yourself by the what I am and all of the wonderful things that you said.
I would like to tell everyone that life is a beautiful, beautiful journey. No matter what happens, and many things will happen because life has different colors. It is beautiful. It is amazing. You have to remember that. No matter what color you're going through now, the light will come. The light will always come. It's the same like with the day and the night. The day always comes, the sun always comes. You know what helped me to reach this stage of really saying, I am, is living my truth, really speaking the truth, opening up, and showing that behind of all my social media photos, happy and dancing and traveling, and many people, they think that I am just like that. I became like this. I was always like that. There is a big like struggle, and I do not want to say that you see, even like a feeling of the victim, of victimhood, sometimes it can drag you down. It drags you down because you keep constantly feeling sorry about yourself. No, I don't want that. I want people, when they hear my story, they want to say, my God, I want to give you a hug. I feel great about it. And I want to learn from your strength. I want to learn from your strength. I want to be strong as well. This is the message of your project, strong. And strong, it has so many, for me, it has so many elements in it, the word strong. I don't know, I feel like I can talk endlessly,
That's
honestly.
so I'm listening to you, and I'm definitely hearing this is a woman that had a journey, and you're still on it. And what's really beautiful about hearing you say or describing how you became is helping me to understand that the saying of this too shall pass, and I can almost hear you saying that without really saying it. But we all know, Elena, that you don't just wake up this self-aware. We all know that it takes time. It's a journey. And some arrive at that destination earlier, and some of us potentially only arrive at that destination right at the end. But here you are on the journey, and you've reached there. You're at this very self-aware stage. What would you say would have been the top learning experiences of your life that made you wake up who you are today?
In fact, the moment I knew that I'm going to talk to you, I tried to go back in time and connect to my 14-year-old self and see what I was going through back then. And I want to tell everyone that I never fit. I felt like I never could fit. I always felt like it wasn't interesting for me. Things which were interesting for other friends weren't interesting for me. I was always like a misfit. I always felt like a misfit. And after my parents got divorced, I just always was very into myself. You know, I was into myself, and I thought nobody could understand me ever. I thought that's it. I will be always like that. So what, I even forgot the question. Now I got so emotional that I even forgot the question.
That's okay. How would you describe the top experiences that brought you to this self-awareness?
Oh
So divorce of your
yeah,
parents,
yeah,
that would be one.
yeah. You know, I actually, yes, I will tell you my 5 top experiences, but in one word, I would say that pain and coming out of your comfort zone and being open to see and learn new things without any judgment. But my experiences in life weren't always beautiful and easy. I think my earliest trauma in life was my parents' divorce. And actually, my whole childhood was full of my father beating my mother and abusing my brother, and basically me and my mom running away always to her mom. So that was my childhood. Then divorce. I stayed with my dad, and I felt very much like a burden to him. I didn't feel any love. Then my first love, who actually cheated on me, so it was very heartbreaking. And then to fast forward, I got married when I was 18 and a half. I went to India. I met a guy online. I flew to India and we got married. And then we lived in India for 2 years and we came to London. And then another experience which shaped me is that at one point I had to leave him and everything I had in 5 minutes. So I had to realize that there is no really security. You have to be ready to act quickly and to stand on your feet. There is no security. That was another experience. Another experience was I was sexually abused actually by one not very good man, and for almost a year he was raping me, and he broke my ribs, and he was like beating me physically and whatever. And that in a way, yeah, it made me who I am now. All those pains, um, losing my friend, seeing my friend actually dying from cancer. She was very young. She was like 27. Seeing the death so close, like in front of my eyes, um, that made me love life more. So that was hard, very hard. I couldn't even understand why it happened to her. How could it happen to her? But it made me more resilient. It made me more resilient. And then the last thing, which was maybe one of the hardest things, was losing my father. He committed suicide. And that was a blow. I think my brain shrinked a bit. I really actually came to feel that maybe something happened at that point, because it was such a strong blow. It was such a strong blow to my whole being, my whole being. And but when I lost my father, I actually never managed to talk to him. We never spoke with him about anything but just like day-to-day things. And I wrote him an email, which I never had time to send it to him. And there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of even hate, and everything was mixed together. And I want to tell everyone that it is very important to forgive. Forgiveness is everything. And it took me maybe 6 or 7 years to go through this journey. Number one, to forgive him, but number two, to ask him to forgive me, because I wasn't always the perfect daughter. It's mutual. It's always mutual. It's not one-sided. Life is not one-sided. You cannot always blame somebody. We cannot blame always, you know.
Wow,
And
Elena,
yeah,
I'm overwhelmed with emotion right now hearing you talk. I think for anybody listening to this right now and watching you, first, with the utmost respect that you have chosen Strong as your platform for sharing your story. I am so ever honored to be here on the other side of the screen listening to you. But Elena, you've experienced things that have happened in your life in such an eloquent way. And watching you tell the story sounds like you have not only surpassed self-awareness, but You have ticked every box of what any therapist or counselor would suggest, acceptance, um, anger, self-awareness. Every box seems to feel ticked on this side. What types of things did you do at every experience that you had that made you feel, I don't want to say it, I don't want to use the word, but I can't think of any other word strong enough to get through each
Yeah.
experience? What did you do at every stage, or can you remember
Yeah,
what you did?
I can remember it so vividly. I can even remember my 14 years old self. Like I see her now. And I was telling my 14-year-old self the same thing I was telling myself when I was 25 or 20 or 30. It was the only one thing which kept me going. It's that it will pass. It will pass.
How?
I try to imagine I try to imagine myself over like as if the situation finished. I always tried. Even when I was preparing for the exam at the university
Mm.
when I was 15, the way I was calming myself down, I said, but it will pass. It's just like it's a very short time. That's all. And I was imagining the day after the exam.
So let's stop at that it will pass. Now, I know in my own experience, and I am nothing in compared to any other human on the planet going through experiences, but I know that at every barrier, at every obstacle, I would always have somebody telling me, it'll pass. And for some reason, it never sunk in. How did it sink in for you? Like, who was it maybe in your life that not just said it to you, but showed it to you, that made you believe it will pass is going to be a soothing thing to remember to get me through this experience?
Um, Very good question. To be honest with you, throughout my life, there was nobody. There was nobody, actually. There was support. I had friends, um, but there was, because I wasn't connected to my mom and I wasn't connected to my dad. And from 10 years old, I realized that I have to do things for myself. I have to stand for myself. And I kind of had even shame asking for help, which is wrong. I would like to tell everyone there is no shame. Shame is a sham created by the society. It's all fake. There is no shame. Ask for help when you need it. And I wish I could ask my dad maybe for help when I needed it, but I didn't. And
How would you say that you found help at any stage in your life? How did you reach out for it?
I didn't reach out for any help. I was just trying to get out of the situation I was in. I tried to find the ways. I tried always to, I knew I have to make it work. I just like knew inside, there was something inside me. It's like this, my protective mechanism inside of me. I knew I have to make it work. I knew I have to find a way. I was always finding a way without anyone.
So going back to the experience of watching your self pack up in 5 minutes and leave. You said you had to do it in 5 minutes and you had to go in 5 minutes. When you were in that moment, those moments of packing up to leave, can you remember what you were thinking at that moment?
Um, I think I don't even remember that well. I just thought that I have to save myself. I have to save myself and leave this place.
And in doing that, and I'm telling you where I'm going with this question is, I know that there's somebody watching our episode right now going through something in their life that they almost feel is impossible to get through. we've all been there. We've all had experiences where what we feel we're going through in the minute is impossible to get through, and we don't know how to get through it. So with that person in mind, that person feeling, I can't get through, this is just too hard, I can't do it. How did you know that you would be able to get through it? Like, how did you know that it will pass, I'll make it through? What was the evidence that you had in those moments that got you through?
It was, I think it was my kind of inner strength. It was just some kind of, because I was a survivor. I learned from a very early age that I have to survive. I have to find a way. I was always finding the way to do something my father didn't allow me to do, I don't know, many different examples. I started working very early. I started living alone when I was 15 because my father, he had his girlfriend, so it was better for me to live alone. So I started living on my own very early, and I was working and I was studying. So it was just some kind of inner strength telling me that I have to live. I have to live and I have to find a way. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Elena,
I
how do
just
you do
learned.
it? How do you do it every day? How do you do Elena every day?
I said at the beginning that white color for me symbolizes honesty. And I prepared my Facebook friends and my Instagram friends that now you won't be getting the fake videos which always show that I'm happy, everything is nice. And this is what I call Facebook. It's just like a face. It's not. I said, now I'm making it a hard book. For me, this is my hard book. And I want to show you that sometimes I feel down and I want to share it with you for you to see that I'm not always happy. And this is another thing which I really want to send this message across, that everything is changing. It's part of existence, this kind of impermanence. And we have to teach about it at school, that everything is impermanent. It's like the seasons change, the weather changes, your mood changes. Do not expect to be always positive.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Accept it with love and kindness for yourself. Don't be too hard and don't think social media is not a criteria. This is not a criteria which we have to compare ourselves with. But unfortunately, nowadays, this is the only criteria for some. They see these happy people who exercise every day, who dance every day, and they think that this is the right criteria, but this is not. And that's why I love your project, because you show that real people are different.
Yeah. Elena, when nobody's watching you, when Facebook is off, when nobody's around, when you're just you alone, what do you do? How do you be Elena?
It changed for me. These last 2 months were very, very transformational for me. And honestly speaking, until recent, I was struggling, and I had a very, I think it was depression. I never asked for help. I just think I was going through depression a few years ago. And I was very, there was always something in me which was a feeling of unsettledness. Like I was looking for something and I didn't even know what was it, what I was looking for. And now somehow I am regaining this peace in me. I feel really this peace. And when I am alone, I reflect a lot. I reflect on my behavior. I reflect on what makes me sad and why does it make me sad. I reflect what makes me feel good and I reflect on that. I am doing, it's called the mindfulness-based stress reduction, um, like a course. And the only thing which it really gave me, it's this awareness. Just be aware of yourself. Don't let yourself slip back into the past or start thinking about the future. Be present. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to do. Just,
Beautiful, Elena. That's so beautiful.
but it's self-study. I am doing the self-study. This is what I'm doing. Yesterday was a low day for me. It was a low day for me. And I thought, what is happening? Like I felt so much heaviness. And I realized that I still have to forgive some people whom I didn't forgive. I have to do it. This is what I realized.
Elena, you told us some really honest things. And if it's okay, I'd like to go back to some of those
Of
things.
course, of course.
Now, with the hope of reaching out to somebody watching, I want to take you back to the abuse that you experienced in watching your parents' relationship, watching your mother take you and run away to your grandmother, watching yourself be abused by a man that you trusted. What would you say to anybody experiencing that right now? What would you tell her or him?
I want to say that pain, it's part of us. We are born through pain. We are really born through a very extreme pain. And it's just part of our life. It's very hard to see the bigger picture when you are 10 years old and when you're 7 years old, or even when you're 25. Sometimes it's very hard to see a bigger picture. But everything, every situation, it shapes us. It really shapes us. And I'm asking everyone not to become angrier, but to become more giving and more compassionate. Let this pain make you a better person, not a worse.
So to any woman watching this right now, and I know that I've had experiences in my life where I've had friends share with me their relationship issues of feeling scared in a relationship and not really feeling like they had the inner strength to get out of that relationship. What would you say was the driving factor for your getting out of those physically and emotionally abusive relationships?
Yeah, what was there? Which factor?
What was the driving factor? Like what inspired you to break free and not to accept and
Yeah.
tolerate?
I want to say one thing that when something feels wrong, it is wrong. It's not just like you are saying to yourself, oh, I will see, and maybe it's okay. No, when something feels wrong, it is wrong. You have to get out of that. When somebody is breaking your ribs or beating you or taking something from you what you do not want to give, run. um, and I think that when I was younger, I was accepting more. I didn't even see that much that it was wrong. Anything what was being done to me, I was just accepting it. And maybe because I had low self-esteem, or maybe because I saw my mom going through this, but I kind of thought, okay, I have a black eye. Okay, it's like I can live with it. Like for me, it was I can live with it. Nobody is cutting my limbs. I can still live with it. But then something started, I think my inner self, my intuition, something was telling me it was wrong. And that was the driving force, that inner feeling when you know something is wrong.
That's so great that you could identify that. Now, I know a lot of women and men, because you know, I don't think abuse is gender specific.
Yes,
I think we hear
yes,
more about it for women, unfortunately, but I know that men are experiencing this as well. Sometimes when they're talking to friends and family about their experiences, they're being encouraged to give it another chance, or maybe they're being told that, you know, maybe you're reading too much into it, or maybe they were having a bad day, or there's so many excuses, but you're saying if it feels wrong, it's wrong, get out. How would you identify the the game breaker, the, you know what, this is not tolerable? Because sometimes men and women especially, we kind of give allowances, we give excuses, and sometimes we point the finger at ourselves and say, well, maybe I did this to instigate it, or maybe it was my fault. But you're saying if it feels wrong, get out. So what would you say is the, no, this is the boundary, or is it different, do you think, for everybody?
yeah. I think the moment when somebody wants to take from you something you don't want to give, this has to be a trigger. And it's very hard to say, even if it happens for just one time, can you close your eyes and keep living like nothing happened? I think it's very individual, because for some, even one time can be a turning point. But when something is taken from you, when you don't want to give it, I think this is wrong. It's about, I'm still learning the meaning of personal boundaries. Even
Mm.
till now, I am learning how to say no. And this is where honesty comes in.
And
That's why
that's,
I think honesty, it's healing. It's not only healing, but it gives you also the understanding of a personal boundaries.
and
When to say
I
yes
think
and when to say no.
I think you've hit it. It's personal boundaries. It is. And I think this is the struggle that we see when friends are asking friends for opinions, or family members giving opinions. It really is, what are your personal boundaries? And I don't think that anybody has the right to tell you when is the right time, or to tell you what is the right move to make. I think it really is the question, well, what is your personal boundary, and what do you want to tolerate or not? But definitely, I think if you're in a physical abusive relationship and your safety is at risk, get out. I definitely would say that to anybody. Now, I want to bring you back to losing your father. And you'll know that I can resonate with what you're talking about, because I recently lost my daughter as well. And I didn't have time to save her or to help her. But for anybody watching this that never experienced that, what would you say for you, Elena, was the biggest challenge? And it's not just about grief of losing your father, it's how you lost him. And it's hard because you didn't have a chance to say goodbye. But for you, what would you say was the biggest challenge in losing him that way?
Yeah, I feel very emotional, but it's easier because it's been 9 years. So now I can talk. Before I couldn't talk, I would just cry.
Mm.
But now I can actually talk, and I can reflect, and I can just feel love for him. Yeah. But another message which I want to send to everyone, not only teenagers and adults, just say that you love somebody. Don't keep it inside. You know,
What was hard for
mm-hmm,
you in losing your father
yeah,
that way?
yeah.
What was the hard part? Other than the obvious, what was the hard part for Elena?
It's the unexpectedness. It's the unexpectedness. And sometimes when you are on bad terms with somebody, or you resent somebody, deep down, unconsciously, you think, but I have time. We will sort it out later. I think somewhere deep inside, I felt that. that we will. I wrote that long email about how I felt, and I still loved him and this and that. But it was late. So that unexpectedness, it kind of hit me because I didn't say what I wanted to say. I I didn't understand him. And then guilt crept in that maybe I could have done something, but the unexpectedness of it, yeah,
If he were here today, what would you want to tell him?
yeah, just that I love him, and I always, I always saw it very one-dimensional, like he did this, he did that. But then through the years, as I said, I learned how to understand what happened, not to really blame him, and to tell him forgive me as well. When I went to India at 18 years old, it was a shock, it was a blow to him. And I just see him in light now, and it took me a long time. It took me 6 years to come to this stage, 6, 7 years. And for 1 year I was just crying, 1 year spent just crying silently, silently, when nobody could see. Couldn't even cry in front of my mom, couldn't cry in front of anyone, only could cry alone.
Helena, I can't even describe the respect I have for you and the emotions that I'm feeling for you right now, but for everyone watching this, I just feel so grateful that you're sharing all of these life experiences with us. Looking forward now in your life, looking at your future, assuming that we all have the time that we think we have, what do you aim for? What are your aspirations?
It's very, sometimes I feel like I want to be in the shadow, because I kind of become, I think, is it my ego who wants to put these videos on and dance and talk, or is it some, I don't know, like I was struggling. I thought, does anyone want to hear me actually? Do I really need to do this? But more and more, when somebody sends me a message after one of my videos and says, thank you for saying the truth. Thank you. It makes me feel that I want to talk more. I want to say more truth. And I was actually working, I had a very stressful job, apart of everything else. I had many burnouts and nervous breakdowns, because for 10 years, I almost worked 24/7 with very difficult bosses. And now I want to change my career, and so I'm studying mindfulness, and I did my yoga course. I got like certification to teach yoga and breathing work, and something, my only aspiration really is to spread love and just tell people, just embrace everyone, and help, of course, help change somebody's perspective of how they look at things. Just it's small. So that's what I want to do.
Why did you want to do this interview with us today?
Because I felt like finally, like it also validated me, and my voice will be there. I want to send a message. I want especially young people, because it's so hard sometimes to be young. I remember how hard it was for me, how hard. And I want to say that, guys, it will pass. Everything will pass. Look at me. I survived. You can survive as well.
That's
And
so,
better things are coming. This
so
is the most
beautiful.
amazing thing. And sorry, Maria, I just want to say one thing, because this is like something I really find there is power in it. It's so important to remember not to compare yourself with anyone. Get inspired, but don't compare. You're unique, and your best is unique.
That's
Never think
beautiful.
that you are worse than somebody else. Your best is unique.
You're beautiful. That's so beautiful. Elena, Strong is not just about empowering the audience watching, and I believe it's also a self-healing process. How can we support you on your strong journey?
I already feel supported just by having this time to speak out. And actually, I feel good when people ask me questions. I really feel good. Any question, I have no taboos. Like, please just ask me, because I feel that all these things, they want to come out. I don't want to keep them inside anymore. I've been keeping them inside for so many years.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's been so beautiful. I could talk to you forever. So many questions. But I know that our time has come to an end today for this episode. Thank you to everybody watching. If you missed out on and you're just tuning in, please rewind and rewatch. This was probably one of the most emotionally aware, driven, I don't even know what to say, how to describe it. It's just been so humbling to listen to Elena share her story and the experiences that she had. If anyone watching this is experiencing an abusive relationship, please reach out for help. Find help. There's help wherever you are in the world. Speak to somebody. And if that person doesn't listen, speak to somebody else. If you're struggling with mental health issues and you feel that you have no alternatives to your life journey, please reach out for help. There is always somebody who wants to help. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Elena, for being with
Thank you
us.
so much.
I hope that this episode has brought you closer to your heart. I hope it has made you understand that people in your life have so much going on in their lives. Ask the real questions. Take the mask off. Get real. Have deep conversation. Somebody out there is waiting for you to really ask them what it's like to be them today. Have a great day, everybody, wherever you are. If it's daytime, if it's evening, if it's morning, I wish you well. Tune in next week when we bring another amazing guest to Strong.
Take my hand, just know you're not alone.